Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the elements that are necessary for life. All right. This is topic 1.2 in the AP biology course and exam description. All right. So, an easy way to remember the elements that are necessary for life is simply the mnemonic I'm about to show you, and that is NCHOPS. And NCHOPS stands for nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. NCHOPS. Those are the six most common organisms found in living systems. And if you take a look at this chart from your textbook, you'll see that your percentage of your body mass, including water, over 96% of your body mass is made of just four of those elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. So let's look at them one at a time. And I'm going to spend the most time talking about carbon because carbon is like the backbone of biological molecules. It's really versatile. It can form a whole bunch of different kinds of skeletons that we can build other molecules around. Now, the reason carbon can do that is because carbon has four outer or valence electrons. That means carbon needs to form four more bonds to complete its valence shell of electrons. What that means for the purposes of biology is that carbon can form four single bonds, like in methane, one double bond, like you see in ketones, one triple bond and one single bond, because that adds up to four as well, or two double bonds, like in carbon dioxide. Carbon can even form rings, and you see that in the molecule of cholesterol. Now, here are some pictures of some of the molecules that carbon can form the backbone of. You don't need to memorize these structures, but here we have carbon and carbon dioxide forming two double bonds for a total of four bonds attached to the carbon. This right here, CH4, that's the structure of methane, which has four single bonds. And down here in the corner, we have the structure of cholesterol. And you can see you have a whole bunch of single bonds there, and you also have rings. So carbon is amazingly versatile. So that's why we say it's kind of like the backbone for forming the skeleton of other macromolecules. Next is hydrogen. Now, hydrogen has only one valence electron and it forms only one bond. It's ubiquitous, which means it's all over the place in biological molecules. In fact, hydrogen is so ubiquitous that often in structures, they don't draw it in. It's just if there's nothing there and you need to have an extra bond, you can safely assume the extra bond is hydrogen. It's just not drawn in because you don't want to draw in 38 hydrogen atoms. Next, we have oxygen. Now, oxygen has six valence electrons, and so does sulfur. So oxygen and sulfur need only to form two more bonds to complete their valence shells. So, typically, they'll form either one double bond, like you see in carbon dioxide, or two single bonds. And you can see an example of oxygen forming a double bond and oxygen forming a single bond in glucose. This is a molecule of glucose, a sugar. Now, sulfur forms a special kind of bond called disulfide bridges, which are two single bonds. And we'll be talking about disulfide bridges more when we talk about protein structure. Next, we have nitrogen and phosphorus, both of which have five valence electrons. So they need to form three more bonds to complete their valence shell. They can form one triple bond. You don't really see that in phosphorus, but in N2 nitrogen gas, which makes up 80% of our atmosphere, the two nitrogen atoms are held together with a triple bond. You can also see nitrogen forming one double and two single bonds in amino acids. You see phosphorus forming one double and two single bonds in phosphate groups, or either of them can just form three single bonds, and probably the most common example of this is ammonia. All right. Now, probably most important is to understand where these elements are found specifically. Now, three of them, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, are found in all biological molecules, in carbs, fats, proteins, and nucleic acids. All of those have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Sulfur is primarily found in proteins. Phosphorus is primarily found in nucleic acids. And nitrogen is found in both proteins and nucleic acids. Now, just a little preview of Unit 5, Hershey and Chase, back in the mid-20th century, when we were trying, or actually early 20th century, when we were trying to figure out what kind of biological molecule carried genetic information. There was a big debate as to whether it was proteins or nucleic acids. And Hershey and Chase did a classic experiment where they used radioactive sulfur to tag proteins and radioactive phosphorus to tag nucleic acids, and to support the hypothesis that nucleic acids were the genetic material, not proteins. So those are the elements of life. Remember NCHOPS: nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. And make sure you know what kind of biological molecules each of those is found in. Have a great day. Bye.